Check this out. This is from a video I made a few years ago. This is a stock wimpy Polaris A-arm that got this bent up from a GNCC race. I get that the manufacturers don't tend to make the products on their machines quite as good as we'd like them to. That's what this Mighty RZR series is all about. If you're hard on your equipment, you want to go race it, I think we can help. I have a time appropriate analogy. If you think today's schools are safe and they don't need to be better protected, then by all means run your stock front end. I think you get where I'm coming from here. You need to protect yourself from DNFs and weekend ruining breakdowns. Today I want to tell you about the A-arms, axles, tie rods, and ball joints we chose for Project Mighty RZR. We went with front and rear high clearance A-arms from Super ATV. For the price point of $300 a pair, you just can't beat them. They're 25% larger than stock and made from chromoly steel. This upgrade also allows full camber adjustability, and we can get 2 additional inches of ground clearance. These are made in China. I don't like things made in China, and originally that was a deal breaker for me. The more I thought about it, we're hypocrites if we're going to ignore what Super ATV is offering here. Nearly everything we buy at Walmart is made in China. And I understand all the products are made to Super ATV's exact specs. They're just made over there instead of over here. Check these babies out. Really nice welds, thick powder coating protection, and they look no different from the arms that are twice the price. And get this, Super ATV A-arms come with a lifetime warranty. Break one or bend one and they'll send you a new one for free. I think you'll agree it's hard to look the other way on a deal like this. We especially like Super ATV's unique pivot block system. Whether we're going to put new shocks on, bigger tires, perhaps a lift kit, we can always adjust camber perfectly with the pivot block system. Some things to note on these Super ATV A-arms. This A-arm kit does not accept Polaris' new 2017 bushings. So if you have a 2017 or newer RZR, you'll need to get the correct bushings for that. We're not going to even use the stock bushings. We upgraded to the best bushings money can buy. We went with a complete set of Garage Products bushings, front and rear A-arms, and rear carrier. Check out the video we did on the Garage Products bushings. It's within the same Mighty RZR video series that this is on. While I'm talking about other videos, Super ATV A-arms don't come with ball joints. I don't think any A-arm setup includes ball joint. We upgraded that product as well with a set of Keller ball joints. Best in the business too, if you ask me. So if you don't want to break ball joints anymore, check out the video we did on Keller ball joints. Jackie's up front putting the new Super ATV high clearance A-arms on right now.
Fucking man, this thing's got pictures. And I'll even note I'm not a mechanic. And this is how easy that Super ATV makes everything, even people like me.
What do you usually do with directions that come with?
Throw them away, right? There ain't no Espanol, no French, no gibberish, no jive. It's all English. No shit.
We had one issue with the rear arms. The 2017 RZR S900 1000 is a little different than the 2016. They used bigger bolts here. So the Super ATV arms we got here are ready to receive the 2016 rear carrier bolt. So we had to do a little drilling here. We used a 1/2-inch drill, and no big deal, just drill out the holes a little bit bigger. It's a good thing really, because you're getting a bigger, better bolt, so you're less likely to egg itself out. Onto the front of the machine, we've removed the A-arms, axles, and tie rods, and here we begin to remove the ball joints from the front stock A-arm. As you can see here, we don't have a press. What we did here is we just rented an Ever-Tough ball joint press set from the local auto store. O'Reilly's has it. It's 117 bucks. So you just rent it out. They give you 48 hours to do the job and run it back down there and get your money back. So it's kind of like a tool you don't have to buy. This may be corrected with your kit, but we received Zerk fittings that were a little too small to use. So what we did is went to Napa Auto Parts store, and they got these crafty 90-degree angle Zerk fittings. We just screwed those in and solved the problem. The next thing you'll need to do is mark on the floor what your old A-arm measurement is. You do this with a piece of paper, just like we're doing here. And what you'll do is you'll transfer over the new A-arm, and you'll just adjust the pivot blocks to the same marks on the floor. So that way you got a starting point where you're not messing around. You're the same as stock that way. So you can put it back to stock, and then later on you can adjust your pivot blocks however you need. That way it's not a big guessing game. Just go with the same stock lengths and then worry about adjusting later. We'll do the same thing with the tie rods. I'm not going to go into a big detail on the tie rod stuff. We did use a Super ATV tie rod kit, and we'll do a completely separate video on that, but just give yourself a starting point and make the new tie rod you put in the same as the stocker. Next, we'll put some grease on the axle and pop it into the gear case. Do yourself a favor and hang up stuff with bungee cords. Here we're hanging up the axle and the shock. Next, we'll just slide the lower Super ATV A-arm into place. Next, we'll slide in the upper Super ATV A-arm. With everything out of the way here, you can see it's easier to slide in. You've got things hanging up with bungee cords. You're not fighting yourself. Slide that in and slip in your A-arm bolts. Next, you'll want to fasten your sway bar links. Doesn't hurt to put a little bit of grease at the end of the axle. That's not to make it easier to slip on. It's more of a prevention type of thing. Less water can get in there, less chance of rust, corrosion, crud. Next, we'll slip the ball joint into the carrier. This is the lower unit. And then we'll slip the upper unit in. They slide in, and then we'll bolt that up. Again, we'll torque that down later. Next, put a little Loctite on the end of your tie rod. You want your steering to not ever come loose. And we'll just screw that tie rod end into the steering box. We'll fasten our tie rod. We'll snug that up later. Now we can drop the shock and insert the Super ATV spacer. It goes in the front like this. Slip that in, put your shock bolt in. We'll torque that up later as well. Lucky for us, we have air tools today, so we're going to snug up everything with the air tools, and we'll torque the specs after that. Now we'll connect the brake line mounts. Finally, we torque everything down to factory specs. First, we'll torque the A-arm bolts. Most everything gets 42 foot-pounds of torque. Here, the axle castle nut, that gets 110 foot-pounds of torque. This video didn't go into a lot of detail on the ball joints, bushings, axles, and tie rods. That's because we're doing separate videos on each of those items. Check them out on our Project Mighty RZR channel, or look down in the description of this video for links. Probably goes without saying, you can click over to superatv.com for more details on this stuff we used today. All in all, we're very impressed with what we've got here. A really good rear end, and our front end is bulletproof, and it matches the kind of power we're going to be able to put down. I don't think we're going to be breaking things. We didn't have to spend a fortune with the Keller ball joints, the garage product bushings, and the Super ATV A-arms, tie rods, and the Rhino 2.0 axles. We've got one heck of a setup.